You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 159 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, I'm with my cat-loving friend, Jeff Gargis.
Hi. Yeah, you're saying that because there's literally a cat on my lap right now. He won't leave me alone, so we're just letting him be. I'm Dr. Evil over here, just petting Mr. Bigglesworth.
If you need a break from your cat, I will take Mittens in a heartbeat. Love Mittens.
This is a great start. This is probably the best start to podcast ever because Mittens is on there. Huh?
I do have to tell you, I now love that we record the beginnings because people now understand how absurd these episodes are because they can see the first 15 minutes of them.
It's no longer just audio. You get the visual too. So if you are listening right now and you don't realize that this video or this podcast does go in video form up on YouTube, so if you go to youtube.com/teachbetterteam, it's on there. We don't record our guests because we don't want to put them through that. We just record this first part, so you get to see Ray and I just,
look
rolling eyes at each other and everything else. Very, very professional, yes. I'm very professional in my hoodie. It's really how I
showered and got dressed this morning. I just want the world to know.
Congratulations on showering. I'm so proud of you.
Appreciate it.
So can we do something we haven't done for a little while, I don't think we've done on the podcast at all since a lot of this stuff started happening with, COVID-19 and the coronavirus and all the, social distance and everything like that. A huge focus, a huge focus for, it's always been a focus for us, but even more so really specific focus about our helping and what we're trying to do and the supports that we're putting in place for teachers. And we've always had a lot that we do. Obviously, that's like the most important thing we do all the time. But just would love to have, can you share with our listeners sort of what we're still doing that we've always done, and then a lot of this, maybe some of the shifts that we've made, some of the things that we have in place, and some of the things that we're just trying to do to be there for teachers right now during this kind of sort of crazy time right now. I thought it'd be kind of cool if you could highlight, and I think there's a better chance that you'll remember all of them than there is that I will.
I was going to say, I feel like I should stretch first because there's so many things that I forget one. All right, I'm starting with the easy one. First of all, continuing is Mastery Chat every Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. But all those topics are now shifted to be focused on supporting students, teachers, and administrators during this time. So that's one. The other element that has shifted, which I'm sure our podcasters have noticed, is that we are publishing 7 episodes a week because we are not only sharing, obviously, the amazing interviews of amazing educators around the country, but also we are sharing our daily drop-ins. So that is the third thing that is brand new. We have daily drop-ins that we are doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in our private group, that after those are recorded and teachers are asking questions and we're doing some professional learning on all these different topics, we're taking the audio of those and we're putting them into podcast episodes. So there is a whole lot happening on Teach Better Talk podcast. Our blogs have shifted. So we have all these amazing guest bloggers that share their content. We send an email out to them asking for them to provide as much support and insight on what teachers and administrators and families can do to best support students throughout this time. So you will see new blogs over at teachbetter.com that we publish 4 blogs a week that are continuously sharing new tips and tricks, whether it be like celebrating teachers that are going above and beyond, keeping the school culture up, even though the school culture may not exist in your school building, how to support educators that are, struggling with distance learning and how to communicate with students, all that stuff. It's been really cool to see our guest bloggers sharing their insight because they're around the country, sharing everything that they're seeing, which is super fun. What about free downloads? Oh my gosh, free downloads.
Free downloads.
Just this week, we probably have shared out 6 free downloads, as 6. Well as like 5 or 6 different playlists on YouTube that are like able to be used by teachers to enhance their craft. So if you go to the free downloads tab, you're going to see The new course, oh my gosh, that's a new one. We have a new course that just came out.
A new course.
On supporting a virtual classroom. So that's a Teach Better Academy, but you can also access it under our free downloads tab. You're going to get all these free downloads, which includes like a checklist and a planner and kind of like there's a great infographic on there on using SEL really effectively with students, even at a distance. And then like I said, I love that Megan Deegan on our team is going above and beyond. She's putting together some basics on tech tools to try and help teachers kind of flush out some tech tools that a lot of people are having, accessible to them now, and also how to use them. So there's just so much. I don't even know that was everything. I have no idea.
Yeah, and so yeah, no, I think you got everything. So like you mentioned, Megan, those are up on. You can get them on the free resources page on the website, but those are also over on the YouTube page. They're each getting their own playlist. So the Flipgrid one I think was 4 videos. She's got another one for quizzes. That's I think just like two easy videos. I think there's a Gimmick Kit one coming that's like 3 videos. So it's quick and easy stuff. You can get the basics to get you going on some of these things. And like Ray, you mentioned the drop-ins, how we're picking them on the podcast episodes. Those are also being, taking that video from the private group and putting it up on the YouTube channel as well. So what's really great, I love, is that what we're really focused on is not only just trying to create as much content as we can to support, we're trying to get it as many places as possible too, which we normally do,
right? But
just even more so right now. So we're really pushing a lot more content to the YouTube channel right now for those that like to go to YouTube for things, that prefer video, whatever it might be, and then more come to the podcast. Like you said, 7 different episodes popping out every week right now, which is just awesome.
Do want to emphasize, if you are subscribed to Teach Better Talk, you're already seeing all these bonus episodes coming out of the daily drop-ins, and we love having all these guests that we've been able to bring in to share their insight from around the country and how they, from their own lens, are supporting the students in their communities. But the only place to actually participate in those versus just being a consumer of the information, if you want to actively get involved and be a part of the questioning, be a part of the opportunity to collaborate and share your insight, you really do need to be in our private Facebook group. There's so many people that are logging into those, tuning into those every morning, and I just can't wait to see those grow, because kind of in my mind, we're going to do those forever. I love starting my morning with our family.
They have been really cool, and a lot of teachers have told us that they really like the fact that it's given them this sort of morning routine that they don't necessarily have quite as much because they don't have to go into work right now. So it's given them this like sort of I'm getting up, I'm getting dressed, I'm getting ready. I was actually talking with Megan today, and she's like, it's great because she's still waking up at the same time. She's getting her workout in. She's got to get it done in time to be ready to get onto that morning check-in, that morning drop-in. So it's keeping her on her schedule, and we've heard that from a lot of other teachers in our community as well, which I love.
Felt the same way. We're recording this on Monday, and you did the daily drop-in this morning, and I was like off my schedule because I didn't need to be necessarily like dressed and ready for our daily drop-in, and my whole day was thrown off. I know tomorrow Chad's doing our daily drop-in. I'm going to get up as if I'm doing it.
I was going to say, you got to get up and as if you're doing it. Which, by the way, can I just do a shout out to Alex Oris?
He was awesome.
Alex Oris, you can follow him. He's at Mr. Oris, Oris Tech. And he shared incredible resources this morning. Talk about, just a plethora of tech tools and how you can get started with them, how you can use them, how that he's supporting his teachers as a tech integration specialist, working with his counterparts in his district. And Alex is an old friend of mine. We played soccer together in high school. I've known him for a long time. An incredible educator, and leader and stuff, and a huge part of Teach Better 19 and Teach Better 20, honestly, too. Getting us ready for that and stuff. But yeah, he just killed it this morning.
I loved that he provided those tech tools using the SAMR model. I think that's really gonna be a great resource for educators. I know, myself included. I actually saved that website and I looked at it earlier today to try and figure out what I'm going to do in my own classroom. It was super helpful. So that's kind of why I like these daily drop-ins, because we're bringing in people and they're just sharing quick tactical takeaways, because that is really what we're all about. I love it. So it's been super fun. I'm hoping that people, see all the content and say,
I love
it's
it.
Helpful,
Yeah, it's a really cool, I like how you say, it's this really cool like blend of quick tactical takeaways with a nice little topping of all the support you could ever want, right? Like just this community family, but you can take something away and learn something every day, and it's been really good. So continue jumping in there and letting us know what you want from that too, so we can go find people that can come in and do it, and and share things and get in there. Like Ray said, get into the group, teachbettergroup.com, or search Teach Better Team on Facebook to get into the group so that you can engage in it live with us in real time and get in there. So awesome. I'm glad we just did that. I'm glad that we kind of shared that with our group here.
I'm glad that you admitted to our listeners that you didn't know all of it and you needed me to, save you. I'm glad that happened.
So let's, I want to talk just real quick and then get right into this. Joe Sage, we met Joe in December at the Impact conference out in Minnesota, and he came to my session on social media, and we ended up talking to him for I don't know how long after.
He's awesome.
He is awesome. We had such a good time chatting with him. We're like, dude, you got to come on the podcast. There was nothing open from, like, no scheduled time to get in until March, but we got him in here, and here it is. Super excited. He's an assistant principal up there in Minnesota. Super passionate guy. I love, with everything going on, his outlook on things. And when we do talk, we have him share a little bit about what he's doing, what his school and their community are doing to kind of help the teachers, the students in the community get through everything during this time. And just a ton of insight from him, his viewpoint, and what they're doing there. So I just want to kind of get right into it. Do you have anything for us, or just go?
Joe's an educator that is not only doing amazing things, but he's also building his PLN. So please connect with him.
Yes.
His energy is outstanding. Yes. I put my stamp of, like, you have to go check out Joe.
Well, there you go. The Ray stamp of approval. So let's get into episode 159 with Joe Sage.
Hey everyone, we're going to get right back to the episode, but I wanted to make sure you had the details of what the team is continuously doing to support all of the educators that are striving to reach their students at a distance. Now, while we will continue to push out content like blogs, podcasts, free downloads, and online courses to support you, we wanted to do more. So you can meet our team live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in our private Facebook group at 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern for a daily drop-in. During this time, we'll be providing PD for all educators and answering your questions to make sure you feel supported. We'll meet you over in our private Facebook group. You can request to join at teachbettergroup.com or simply by searching Teach Better Team on Facebook. We'll meet you there. Now, let's get back to the episode.
All right, we're here and we are chatting with Joe Sage. And Joe, this is super exciting for us. We met you way back in December at the Impact Education Conference out in Minnesota. It was super cold there. I remember walking, it was like a 7-minute walk, but Ray and I were frozen from our cars. But we had a great conference. You were in my session about social media. We had a great chat afterwards. And talked about it. We said, we got to get you on the podcast. And Ray was just reminiscing how she was thinking when you're like, oh, I signed up for March. And Ray said, that's so far away. But yeah, here we are, right? So super excited. Everything's crazy in the world right now. But so we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. I want to dive into your head and sort of, your story and what you're doing right now to support your staff and everything like that. Before we go too far into that, man, how are you feeling right now?
Oh, I'm excited to be here. I loved your accent there, Minnesota. Yeah,
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yeah. I was super excited to meet both of you and to have an opportunity to chat with you here on this podcast. I've been able to follow quite a bit of what you and your team are doing. It's amazing. I'm doing absolutely wonderful. I know it is just a unprecedented time right now in our country and in our world with what's going on. But I think right now, and I'm sure we'll dive into this as we continue to have conversation, we need teachers and educators more than ever. So I'm excited to chat about that.
Yeah, Joe, I vividly remember hanging out and having you sign up for this podcast. I can't believe we're finally here. I am going to pick on Jeff a little bit, though. Hey, Jeff, how do you pronounce Joe's last name real quick? How do you do that?
It's actually Joseph Sage.
Jeff, I have met so many people in my life, and you are the first to maybe mess up the pronouncing my name. It's impressive.
You mean because Sage is how it's supposed to say?
Yeah, Sage.
And I said Sage. Yeah, I know. I thought you were going to say I'm the first person who finally got it right.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Yeah, maybe I've been wrong my whole life.
So for our listeners, you should know we are just about to record. We're about to click record, and Jeff goes, "Hey, wait, can I confirm your name is Joe Sage, right?" And I'm like, "That's the easiest. How else would you pronounce it?" So we went through like 5 or 6 different scenarios on how to pronounce it.
I think you never know with last names. All right, Hughart?
You're
right. You
right.
just never know. So okay. I try to be respectful and double check.
Okay, a name like Hewart is fine. Dude, his name is Joe Sage. It doesn't get much easier than that.
You're making it sound like I was struggling with the Joe part. I was just making sure it was Sage.
The brother-sister banner between you two. I mean, it's just second to none. I mean, when I listen to your podcast, I really do. I just love that.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm glad you like it, Joe, because it makes me miserable. So
yeah, it's horrible. I hate him.
Are we recording? We're still recording. All right.
We are.
But you want to get us back on track?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you cut me off to tell me to get on track? Let's just try this again. Here we go, people. Here we go. So, Joe, I want to make sure that our listeners actually get to learn from you and don't just hear Jeff blabbing on and on throughout this podcast. So would you mind giving us a little bit about your backstory and all that you do in education?
Yeah, so I started teaching in Shakopee, Minnesota. I was hired as an 8th grade earth science teacher. I was one of those people who spent far too long at the university getting my degree. I'm not even going to tell you that number. But really what happened was I went to school for 3 or 4 years and finally decided that education, I knew it all along was my passion, that I wanted to work with kids for the rest of my life. So I started in Shakopee as an 8th grade earth science teacher, and quickly, I'm growing up in technology. It's everywhere around us, and I learned that it can be an incredibly powerful tool in the classroom. There was a what's called a digital learning coach. I know they have different names for them across the country. Position open, and so I jumped on that, and I loved it. I especially loved the learning on how to use it as a tool in the classroom and how to connect kids and to provide authentic learning experiences for them. And it opened me up to kind of a whole new world where I saw leadership at its finest. And so, with that in mind, I knew I wanted to do more. And so I ended up getting my master's from St. Mary's, and then my admin license and ed.s degree from Morehead State University. And as I was sitting one day in in Shakopee, a job opened up at Faribault High School for their dean of students. And so I threw my name in and ended up joining their team, and am now serving there as their assistant principal. And it's been an absolutely incredible journey. People ask me all the time, what do you do in your job? And it's so different every day. But I get to work with kids, and I can honestly tell you that there's not a day that goes by where I don't wake up and truly feel excited to drive into work. And I feel blessed because of that.
Oh, I love that. And you feel that when you're talking to you, just like the fact that you love what you do and that you feel blessed about getting to do what you do, and that you truly enjoy it and what you're trying to do. So before we got recording here, we did talk in the mix of a whole bunch of nonsense about names and stuff. We did talk a little bit about, sort of the shift. Obviously, there's a lot going on right now with school closings and, social distancing and everything that's going on with the COVID-19 and the coronavirus, and a lot of shifts. We were talking a little bit about some of the things that you're doing, have some Google Meets and stuff like that. Can you kind of share with us, from your position, what are you doing right now? What's your district doing? Where are you guys struggling? What things are you putting in place? What are you still trying to put in place? Sort of where are you at? How are you handling all of this stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question, Jeff. So, I'll be honest with you. We were on spring break last week. My wife and I were up with her family doing some skiing and snowboarding, and quite honestly, it was just another wonderful weekend. We were planning on having 3 days of family time and coming back on Monday. And then as the whole world knows, things literally were changing by the hour. And then all of a sudden, boom, Sunday night, as every educator, administrator in the world was faced with, you have 2 weeks. For us, it was 2 weeks to completely redesign what education looks like. Go. It was anxiety provoking. It was stressful. It was there were pieces of it that were really exciting. And we all kind of dove in as things continued to develop in the media and around the world with COVID-19. So we got to a point. We were lucky. Our governor, who has done a phenomenal job, Governor Walz in Minnesota, gave us 2 weeks basically to plan for this. So what I really appreciated about our district was that they said, here's the deal. Before we even talk learning, we need to make sure that the basic needs of our students are met. Within 24 hours, I could not believe the plan that was formulated to get food and meals into our students' hands and their families' hands. And then in addition to that, the gigantic daycare program that was set up for all of the health providers and our police officers and firefighters, all of the people that needed that daycare, it was set up for them free within our district. And so that was just, it was, I can't stress enough how cool it was to see people come together and to make that happen. And then we started to dive into what online learning looks like.
Very cool. So what has seemed to been, what's been sort of the biggest struggle so far that you've heard, or sort of the biggest concern that you've gotten from your either your students or your staff or your community?
Yeah, I think this is a really broad answer, but I think it's the unknown, Jeff.
Sure,
I sit in meetings all day now with teachers, and it's really quite draining actually to receive the such a large amount of questions that I don't have answers to. You're thinking about, you're looking at things like, how are we taking attendance?
Mm-hmm.
How are you grading? How are we, if there are social emotional needs for students, how are we now meeting these needs? How, is the learning asynchronous or synchronous? How are we delivering the content? What works, what doesn't? And then, when you look at it from a special ed lens, there are so many things that we have to answer in such a short period of time. It's rather difficult.
Yeah, that's tough. The unknown has been, I think, across the board, is just the hardest thing. And it makes you rethink things that are typically part of your just typical routine of grading and attendance stuff becomes just a whole another, becomes this barrier that wasn't there before and stuff, and this challenge. So always interesting to get that sort of that vantage point of what's going on there. So let's talk, hoping you can share a story with us, stepping away from the current state of the world kind of thing and just into some of our typical questions here, talking about failure. If you could share a time with us that you've had a failure in your life or your career, and sort of tell us what happened, how did you overcome that, and then what did you take away from that?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this. Many leaders know the road to success is paved with failed attempts. I've had my fair share of failures, big and small. I've learned that truly it is just part of your journey. I loved that you guys discussed this in your book. I'm through chapter 5. Kind of planning not to plan. I've failed a dozen times today. I'm going to fail tomorrow. For whatever reason, people in society think it's a bad thing. But if you think about failure, it really can just be a catalyst to growth. And I truly feel as though some of my greatest successes have come from failures. I'll break the rules here. I'll tell you about 2 really quick ones that have made kind of monumental impacts on my life. The first was around creating parent groups. Oftentimes you hear, let's bring in the stakeholders. So you do that. And I had attempted, kind of long story short, to bring in some groups, and it just went flat. It turned into some parent groups, excuse me. It kind of turned into venting. There wasn't a lot of structure. The relationship wasn't there. And quite honestly, the biggest component to making that successful was trust. So this year we have this really awesome partnership with a local college, Carleton College. And we're working to really empower and to break down the barriers and look at our systems around our Black and Brown students. And so we are actually, we formed a what's called a Latinx group, and we've brought these parents in. Now, what was different this time was that I made sure that there was a relationship there prior to going in. The people I enlisted the help of two parents that I worked with that were part of the multiple committees and this committee, and they learned to trust me. I learned to trust them. We worked together to ensure that everyone in this group, which ended up being comprised of a ton of families in our community, came and that their voice was heard. And I know that you talked in your book, second reference here, about the importance of stakeholders and bringing people in. And it really is critical. We had people from different organizations in our community. We had parents, and all of them had the same goal in mind, which was to ensure that students are successful. Do you want me to talk about the second one too here, or we want to keep moving?
You can share the second one. Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
This one kind of got to me a little bit, and it was actually it was a complaint that I had from a teacher. I run this program, and this is something that's made a huge impact on me. It's a smaller program within our school, and one day, we have a very close relationship, and she had mentioned to me, Joe, I'm going to be kind of honest with you. You really haven't been present. We're really kind of drowning up here. We're struggling. And it felt as though like it was being put on me. And so I go down to my office and I sit at my computer. I open it up and there's, 200 emails. I got kids lined up the door to come in to talk to. I got meetings that I'm late for, ones that I need to get to. And I'm thinking to myself, how can this possibly be true? Like how can someone be, coming down on me for this? I wanted to, quite honestly, I wanted to push the blame away from myself. And that was the mistake that I made. I drove home that night and I started to think about it a lot. And I realized that this teacher was spot on. She had the courage to tell me something that I needed to change. And the key here was that I needed to get back to what I believed in. And my belief is that all students can be successful. And I promise teachers to be present in the building. And it helped me to prioritize the millions of things that come at you on a daily basis. Teachers get just bombarded and administrators get bombarded. Education is so fast and it's so difficult at times to do that. But when you have to prioritize, you have to stop and you have to ask yourself, what is it that you believe? What are your core beliefs? And I really do believe that will help you make better decisions throughout the day. That's what I took away from it.
Oh, Joe, I've loved your stories so far. There's been so many things that I think we could dive into for full episodes, but that last one about core beliefs, I think is so important, not only for this time in education, but just in general, as we continue to move throughout education, really going to those core beliefs and making decisions from those are essential. So I love that. With everything that you're involved in, obviously you have a ton of passion. Where is this excitement coming from and everything you're doing? What's really fueling your fire here?
Right now, and more than anything, right, is the teachers. Obviously, in our world, education, as we know it, especially in the last 2 weeks, is being flipped upside down. There's so many unknowns out there related to how to provide the best distance learning to our students. We need to be sensitive and understanding to the individual situations that our families and students are facing. What has me excited is the teachers' drive and creativity behind this major undertaking. I think it's apparent at this time the kind of people we have working in this field, the people who care, the people who want to help, the people who want to serve. These people are extraordinary and willing to go above and beyond what their comfortable norm has offered them for so long. It's beyond exciting to me. I think what's even more cool is, as we, I look for bright spots when we're going through difficult times like this. It has shown, it has made it as clear as day that teachers are more than just the person who deliver content to our kids. They are so much more than that. And when we take education, the ability to interact with these adults out of the equation, it's a game changer, and it has a big impact on our kids.
Gosh, I could not agree more. I love how you said that. So if I was an educator listening right now and I wanted to essentially like live up to these great educators talking about doing amazing things. What piece of advice would you give a teacher, whether they be new to the field or maybe they're a veteran, they're just listening to Teach Better Talk for good advice? What advice do teachers need to really stay in tune and reach their learners and, build those relationships?
Yeah, I think that we need to, and I think this is as much a role. One of my responsibilities, Ray, as an administrator, is to encourage staff to try something new. They have to be comfortable with it, right? You have to have a culture around a growth mindset. The training that we're receiving in college and in our student teaching experiences is great, and as is the teams that we're all joining. The team may have experienced teachers and may have teachers who got this all planned out, but to our new teachers and folks that are now embarking on digital distance learning and digital learning, you can't be afraid to try something new. Some of the coolest ideas, some of the stuff that has really set me back in my chair has come from first year teachers. Just they're ruthless. I think about not ruthless in a good way. They're just willing to try new things. My 3-year-old was going down the hill on a snowboard, and he would there is no fright for him, right? Like full speed, first time on it. Let's do this. If we fail, we fail. We're just going to get up and we're going to try again. And I think that is something that we really need to instill in our new teachers.
Very cool and agreed. Yeah, that's that willingness to try new things is such an important piece. And I think right now we have this opportunity where we've talked about this in the last episode too, about how we kind of have an opportunity right now to try a lot of new things, because we kind of have to try things out, and we have a little bit of a grace period with people to kind of test new things out and get involved in new tools and new ways to handle communication and delivery of content and everything like that. So it's a unique time where that skill is becoming even more and more important right now, I think. So
it is. Yes.
Very good. Very cool. So let's have some fun. Let's do the next 6 questions with your goal being to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. You ready to go?
Oh, I always get nervous when I listen to these folks do this on your podcast. But yeah, I'm ready.
You're gonna be awesome.
Let's do it.
All right. What is one ed tech tool you cannot live without?
At this very moment, Google Meet. But one of my all-time favorite is Canva.
He's already breaking rules.
What did I do? I can only do one, right?
Wow. It's too late now, Joe. You already did 2.
Joe, you can do whatever you want. Take control.
Well, if you asked me last week, Canva. Right now, Google Meet. I'm living on it. I can't live without it.
This is just so Minnesota. Like, I don't know why that's not at Minnesota at all. Anyway, let's keep going here. What book are you reading right now? He's gonna give us like 16.
Yeah.
Okay. To be very honest with you, I am reading the Teach Better book. I met these folks at this conference in Minnesota, and they got me. I'm into chapter 5. I have not finished all of it. I'm also reading White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo.
Joe, you're already on the podcast. Like, you don't need to butter us up anymore, man. We already invited you on.
What is? I don't remember which one's chapter 5. What is the chapter about?
Plan to not plan. Plan better, right? Plan better, right?
Well, actually, I don't.
Or no.
I might have just started. I don't.
I could be off.
Have to look at it. I've already read the Plan to Not Plan. I think that was like chapter 2 or 3, right?
3, yeah. Do us a favor, if you're listening right now and you happen to know the Teach Better book, tweet out, let us know what chapter 5 is, because apparently we don't know.
Wait, the reason I asked is because
I've got a stack of 100 books behind me, but I don't know.
No, my favorite one in the chapter is Complain Better. So, Joe, when you get to Complain Better, we got to talk, dude. I'm in.
I'm in. I'm absolutely in.
You are so not winning the trophy. We're so far off at this point.
Hey, listen, we are. I mean, yeah, this.
I love it. All right, number 3. We're only on number 3 right now. Who do you need to follow on Twitter or Instagram today?
I love Simon Sinek. He's really inspirational. He's a phenomenal leader. I think he's a great one. My colleague, I love him, Sean Peck. He's the fellow assistant principal of mine at Sean Peck 6. This guy is crazy brilliant, has a ton of great things to say, and is really kind of an up and coming person on Twitter. So give him a follow. You won't regret it.
what's a good YouTube channel or website for educators?
So right now, one of the awesome ones that has started a week ago, it has 112,000 members right now, is Teaching During COVID-19. It's a Facebook group. Sorry, I'm breaking the rules again.
That's okay. That
it's
works.
Actually overwhelming with how much content is on there. So definitely check that out.
Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
Daily, every day, a teacher should find a student and tell them that they matter. Weekly, they need to make a positive phone call home. And monthly, they need to reflect.
And lastly, give us the best piece of advice you've ever received.
Listen first, speak last.
Great advice.
You get the trophy!
Did I catch up on time? I was trying to go a little quicker.
We're good.
You get the trophy because you got us the most off track than any other person who's been on Teach Better Talk. And this is episode 159. So you've had a lot of people competing against you.
Joe, a lot of people don't realize this, but we actually don't track the time at
what?
all.
How could you say that?
I have no idea if anyone's actually ever done it in 15 seconds or less on any of them.
Do not lie to our listeners. You're in your basement, sweatband on, with the timer out.
He's got the stopwatch right there, doesn't he?
It's true.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, you did all right, my friend. You did all right.
That was fun. That was not as stressful as I thought.
I know. I'm like, are you stressed? Like with a nerd? I didn't feel it, dude. I think you were good.
Yeah. I'm getting some practice here on these calls lately, so it just makes it a little bit easier.
Well, Joe, I want to make sure that we are able to have our listeners connect with you and all the things that you're doing. So would you mind kind of sharing, whether it be your Twitter handle or Instagram, kind of how can they stay connected?
Yeah, so actually, Ray, do you remember you got me to sign in to do Instagram?
Yes, I love it.
Yes. Yeah, and so it's on my to-do list of things to kind of figure out how to utilize that as an educator. Right now, it's just been, like cute photos of the dog and kid. So I don't want to bombard people with that, but I do post quite a bit through my Twitter account, which is at Joe Sage FHS. And so if you're looking to connect, I think right now we should, when we're talking, we got such a great audience through this podcast. Twitter is just such an incredible tool as we're embarking on this new digital distance learning, So definitely check out Twitter and connect with me. I would love to connect with anyone and everyone out there on Twitter.
Joe, you got to connect with your families or your students on Instagram. That's a great platform for that.
Yeah. And I actually, my Twitter account kind of has transformed to that too, which is, I was, kind of talking to someone the other day over the course of a few years, more kids and family members follow you. And then you start, posting quite a bit of stuff out of the school. It's been really fun to interact with kids on Twitter.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. And you can find all the links, resources, and everything we mentioned in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as those links to make sure you connect with Joe on Instagram and on Twitter there and keep the conversation going. So head over to teachbetter.com for the show notes and all of that over there. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and review, we'd really, really appreciate that a lot. And let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and share this podcast with them. Joe, man, this was a blast. So happy that we ran into each other back in a few months ago, whenever that was, in Minnesota. It was great. It was a blast. Super, super excited to have you on. I'm really excited for people to hear your story and everything you shared with us. But we just really appreciate your time, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I sincerely appreciate it. And I'm definitely going to share the podcast. I know I speak for a ton of people. We really appreciate what both of you are doing. I mean, you are putting out so much content for teachers and providing them with opportunities to connect and to collaborate. And we need that right now. So thank you both for all you do.
Well, we appreciate that a lot, Joe. Thanks for saying that. And until next time, let's get out there. Let's teach better.